What is up, y'all? It is me again. It is Ryan on the 21st Century Composer. We're back for the next day in a row straight. It has been fun. I've enjoyed. What the mess was that? I've enjoyed recording this and working on my speaking as well because I feel like this is gonna help me with like public speaking and stuff. The drink of choice today is some Pepsi. Not sponsored. Okay. I really want to be sponsored by Cheerios if they would let me. I would really love to be sponsored by Cheerios. Why? It's Cheerios, dog. It's what you've been eating for so long. So, what's on the agenda today is that we're going to talk about auditions. Mainly because I've been doing a lot of that these past couple of months. And the more I do them, the more less anxious I get about them. And let's see how many I'm going to talk about. 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to be talking about at least 5. Maybe more than that if they come to mind, but these are the only ones that I can really remember. And we're going to go one by one. We're going to talk about what the group was, how it went, what I did, etc., etc. And if I sound as though I'm just rambling, please forgive me, because I am going to be rambling. We're going to get better about it sometime. Maybe not today, maybe not even next week, because I will be gone this weekend as of recording this. As of recording this, I'll be gone for a little while for a honor choir. I'll be participating in that. And an honor choir where you more or less haven't sung in like 2 or 3 years, it's going to be interesting. I don't know how an honor choir goes. I've only been in choir for about 2 years, like in total. Freshman year, a part of sophomore year, and now this year, my senior year, and we're at the halfway point, so that would more or less technically make it 2 years. Band is pretty straightforward. You audition and you show up. With honor choir, or this honor choir in particular, you're supposed to learn the music before you show up. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I have not learned this music. I'm familiar with it, somewhat. Kind of know how it goes, maybe, but I don't know the music at all. I couldn't, if you were to ask me to sing my part, or give you a general idea of how the part is supposed to go, I wouldn't know what to do. There's only one piece though that I actually kind of learned, which was Lamentations of Jeremiah, which is very gritty and aggressive, so I guess I latched on to that one really quickly. But the rest of them, I don't know at all. Struggle busing, y'all. And then I got drill on Sunday, so let's jump into kind of my major L when it comes to auditions. I'm about to kick my dog out this room. And and that was the National Guard band for my state. I auditioned for that in my junior year. So to give a little kind of background for that, I had taken interest in military bands with EMC, and those that are in the drumline world or percussion world, you know who that is, and you know he was in the Marine Drum and Bugle Corps, and I also wanted to do drum corps, but I couldn't do drum corps because it was too expensive. For Southwind, it was $3,300 for tuition, and I said I couldn't do that. I could not do that at all. I couldn't come up with $3,000 fast enough to even bother. But anyhow, I had taken interest in military bands, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna look into this. So I wanted to see if the Army had a drum and bugle corps, because I really wanted to do that. Unfortunately, they don't. They have the fife and drum corps, but that's not what they do. They don't do like DCI shows or whatever. They do like ceremonial stuff most of the time, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. I probably am. But anyhow, I ended up looking more in the direction of the National Guard band for my state, and I was roughly a sophomore at the time, and I had made a phone call to whoever their AGR guy is, and we had a conversation of, for junior year, I'm looking to do the split training option and try an audition for y'all. What do y'all think about that? And foreshadowing, the person on the other end of that line was like, I would maybe wait. Because it's pretty hard. He's basically saying it was pretty hard to get into it. The band is not even that big. Altogether, it's like a simple wind ensemble. And you're and you can imagine what position this person is in, hearing from this sophomore who has aspirations to be a part of a very premier group, and the only thing he has to his resume was that he was second chair trombone at his high school. Wasn't even first. He was second at the time. So, but we did have a conversation on it. I got some information. And then eventually I contacted their CO. And by junior year, kind of the beginning of junior year, I wasn't yet 17. Because, you can't enlist until you're 17 years old with parental consent. And you can't do split op until you're 17. So I wasn't 17 quite yet. I was still 16, but I had gotten a hold of their CO during the fall semester and was like, hey, I would like to audition for your group. I'm a junior at such and such high school. Here's my band director. Can we see what's up with that? And they go, okay, yeah, we can definitely try and audition you. I'll have to consult a recruiter to see if we can go through with this. Because I guess they didn't know if the split op was still a thing that you could do. And I go, okay, cool. I'll be working on my stuff, which I'd been working on since I was 15, more or less. The two pieces I had picked out at the time was Andante and Allegro by Barat and concert piece by enlightening, however you say his name. And I didn't have a jazz piece picked out yet, but I would pick one later on. So, fast forward to a couple months later, I take my ASVAB at the school. And I do the test, and I made a 52 on my ASVAB. That was my kind of composite score. I don't remember the exact name. It was like the Armed Forces qualification score, something like that. I don't remember because it's been 2 years, like 1 or 2 years at this point since I've taken my ASVAB. But I just remember that I got a 52. And for the Army band, all you have to do is pass. And the passing score for the Army is, I believe, 31 or 32. All you had to do was make a 31 and 32. All you had to do was pass. And I passed. And I was like, okay, cool. Funnily enough, the recruiter, National Guard recruiter, was there as well. And he walked up to me and was like, hey, you ever thought about joining the military? I was like, yeah, actually. I want to join the Army band for our state. And he goes, oh, okay, and gets my number. And I was still 16, so I had to wait like a couple more months. And then on exactly my birthday, on January 5th, 2023, I scheduled an appointment. And I went there on my birthday to the office, and we started working on paperwork. And started working on the whole enlistment process, going ahead and getting that worked out. And trying to situate medical, which, if you've ever enlisted, you know the medical part is the hardest part. If you can make it past medical, you're set. And you pass MEPS. So, fast forward a little bit, I passed MEPS. And we're kind of in limbo. We're trying to get a hold of somebody. And at the same time, I'm working with my band director, one of my band directors privately, on my materials, which I had already picked a jazz piece by then and started working on it. It was the Texas, the TMEA Jazz Etude #1. And it was basically Donnelly, but it was same chord progression as Donnelly, but it was different notes and rhythms. Stuff like that. And I'm working on that, and the other two pieces are going fine. I did the slow section from Andante and Allegro, and then the fast section from a concert piece. And those are going great. Andante and Allegro is very difficult, or it was difficult for me at the time. I know a lot of y'all professional trombonists out there are like, nah, Dante Allegro is lightweight. And I'm pretty sure it is at a certain point, but for me, that was college rep, and I was just a junior. I was intentional about getting college rep besides just regular high school rep. I wanted to make sure that it was an undergrad level show, so I could show that I could perform undergraduate level stuff. Right. That was the whole intention behind that. So I'm still working on this, and my recruiter is still trying to help me get in touch with somebody. He's trying to get in touch with people. And come to find out, I see on the social media page, hey, if you are looking to audition, you need to contact this recruiter. And that recruiter just so happened to be in central Mississippi. So I'm like, okay. And I called the number. They didn't answer, so I left a text message. And they texted me back, and we could start going back and forth. And I was telling them, like, yeah, we were originally planning on doing this audition when they were doing their drill at this place. We can do the audition in place there while they're doing this. That was what we had kind of planned, but obviously that month of drill has passed. So now I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, yeah, we're doing video auditions. So and then she asked me, okay, what pieces are you wanting to do? And I list them out, and I send it back to them. They're like, okay, send me these videos when you can. So the bad part about this was I stopped maintaining the music for like a week or two because we were in limbo trying to find out who we were supposed to contact. And so, and we were like, this was in, I want to say, April or May by the time we got in contact with somebody. So at this point, we were on a very tight schedule if we wanted to even do split op. So we carry on. I spend about a full week in total recording takes. And the more and more I went on, the more and more I got stressed. And that's advice I would give to anybody. Don't be stressed when you're doing auditions, because it ultimately hinders your performance. Right? Like when you go to a job interview and you're stressed, you're already setting yourself up for failure. That's what I was doing to myself. And so it's like, you know what? This is about as good as it's going to get. I'm coming up on this deadline. And I sent them in. I didn't feel good about them at all. But I sent them in anyway, because it was the deadline. And we wait about 1 or 2 weeks, maybe 3. And I get word back that, hey, you didn't make it. And talk about not wanting to pick your horn up for 2 or 3 months, which is what happened. I did not pick my horn up for a while. I was so discouraged by these results, because this was something I was looking forward to for a year or two, being able to do the audition, but then we're stuck in limbo trying to get it, and then it's just how it panned out. what can you say? Right. And I learned a lot from that. I was in a point in my life where I was constantly winning, figuratively speaking. I was constantly making stuff happen for me, and I was moving along with composition. But that was a major setback for me, and eventually I did pick my horn back up. Sometime into marching season of my senior year, because I was head drum major for my high school band for senior year in that marching season, and I didn't have an assistant, so really I didn't have time to really get to sit down and practice unless I was just, sitting in for a sectional, which I did that here and there for band camp, helping out the seconds. I would go down there and I would play their part with them, but other than that, I did not practice a whole lot during marching season. And all in all, what I've learned from that audition experience is things might not be straightforward, but you have to remain consistent with practicing, or else you might be caught off by surprise. And don't get too ahead of yourself. Be realistic with yourself. Are you really the player of that caliber? Right. And that's what I learned from that. And eventually I did enlist in the National Guard still, but as a MP. I was like, I'm gonna go on ahead and get my foot in the door and get all these education benefits real quick, and then try out again in college, and hopefully reclass. Law enforcement just so happened to be another career path I was interested in, and I still am. But a part of me wishes I would have went for a mechanics. That stuff, I didn't get interested into that stuff until this year. So let's talk about another audition that happened recently. I'm about to take off these shoes, y'all. Why am I wearing these shoes? My good old penny loafers. Yeah. The dogs out. So, an auditions experience that I think went moderately well was for the state clinic that we had back in December. And that clinic ended up feeling really good about that one. I was at a point to where I was practicing again towards the end of marching season when it had died down. And come up on December, a lot of that range that I had had come back. A lot of the tone had eventually come back after just working at it every day. And so what happens now is my chromatic scale was like way on up there and way on down there. There's a pedal left to the high D. And I mean, that F to that D. And that chromatic scale and that audition room was almost flawless. As for the other as for the two prepared scales, on the other hand, the two scales that the proctor picks out, the tone on those was questionable. I the notes were all there, but the tone was garbage. It was garbage, and so they give you like a couple seconds to do like a quick little, play a little couple notes, and all I did was like a couple lip slurs, and was like, okay, I think I'm ready. And that was, like I could have done just a little bit more, but unfortunately we chilling, you know. And then the sight reading it was beautiful. The sight reading I felt so good about, and I got eighth chair top band, so I was like the last person playing on second part, which I cannot complain. A lot of these cats look like they take lessons, and they sound like they take lessons all the time. And I mean, it felt good being in that band. And so, and the program we did, that is one of my favorite programs that I've ever been a part of. Leodov Fanfare. It was alright. I didn't really care for it, but it was very well done. Our conductor was a powerhouse. And then we did a world premiere of Love for Lena, which was a lyrical piece that was dedicated to a young girl that had passed away. And I hope y'all couldn't hear that, but then we did another one. We did two more. We did Cheerio March. That was the name of it, Cheerio March. With all the listening and singing, and it's just real cute or whatever. And then we ended it off with Covenant by Robert W. Smith, which is one of my favorite pieces to this day. If I ever get a band that's playing grade 3s, grade 4s, I want to program that. It's really good. Yeah, Love for Lena. I almost cried halfway through that. That was the first time I almost cried through a piece, because I mean it was very well done. Now, let's talk about a set of auditions that I've done 4 years in a row. 3 years in a row. Yeah, 3 years in a row. That brought the most stress, the most anticipation, and that was the high school chair placement. That audition. Now, I can probably go year by year and talk about each of these, because in all reality, it was crazy. It was crazy competitive in my section. So freshman year, they were not expecting me to make top band. When I came in marching season, I was on second part. There were no other freshmen on second part besides me, and there were only 2 people on first part. So I don't think they foresaw me coming in and making top band, which it was just that year that they had started doing concert, symphonic, and wind ensemble. because it used to just be concert and symphonic. They had just started doing the 3 because the band had gotten big. And so I go in there, and I think I did like a pedal F to a high B flat. I did like a 3 octave A flat, and then a 2 octave something else, and then something crazy for my choice, because it was they call out 2 scales, you pick one, and then chromatic, and then I believe you do your 2 etudes and then sight reading, or maybe it was just sight reading. I cannot remember. But anyway, the sight reading, I made like a 60 on that. I got to look at the page, and I made like a 60. I was confused. There were 2 lines of music. For some reason, only did the first, and then I looked at the proctor, and he's like, "There's more." And I'm like, "Oh." And then I was really sight reading then, because I wasn't looking at that part. And so, but all in all, I got 3rd chair, top band, on top of a senior that was 2nd chair the prior year. He had moved down to 4th. And then me and this junior moved. I was in 3rd, she was in 2nd. And then the 1st chair stayed 1st chair. And I used to have somewhat of an ego. I said to somebody or something, imagine being topped by a freshman, and they hated my guts for a while for that. I was not humble at all about it, and rightfully so. They were not too happy about that. But in reality, our section was so strong. We all could play first part. There's no doubt about it. But it was from then on that everybody just moved up one by one. So, move on to sophomore year, and that audition landed me in 2nd chair, because obviously I was telling y'all earlier about the Army Band audition. So I moved up to 2nd that year, my sophomore year, and we had gotten this freshman on 4th chair, I want to say. And then junior year, I moved up to 1st, and I didn't really care for the music junior year. It wasn't that hard. And then senior year is the one that we'll talk about in depth a little bit. So the 2nd chair from last year is still the 2nd chair for senior year. That almost wasn't the case. There was either she had sent me a text message or she told me in person that before sight reading was graded, she was 1st chair. And I was like, "Nah, bro, you capping." And she said, "Yeah, that came from the source." I could not believe it, because I was sitting here doing 3-4 octaves on a lot of stuff, and you're telling me this basically, I don't think they counted any bonus points or anything like that. Maybe, I can't remember, but Talk about attacking. Like, I tried to make it look like I didn't have an ego. And for some reason, I believed I didn't have an ego, but I did. And I was, I mean, there was one point where we had gotten pretty heated about it in like the parking lot, or I'd gotten pretty heated, and yeah, I looked like a child. I looked like a 3-year-old having a temper tantrum, and so. But when the results came out and I saw that I was still first, I was like, oh. And maybe I was in a point in my life where I was going through it at the time, because I don't know. Sometimes I'd be a little more level-headed, but it was just something about I could not accept that fact. Because I was like, well, I was auditioning for the Army Band at the time. Like, how can, if I'm expecting to play at that level, then who are you? Something like that. But there's no bad blood. It's all situated, and everybody said their piece, and we're still good friends and stuff. But talk about having a temper tantrum, dude. It's like you're almost a grown man having a temper tantrum. I don't get it. But now, yeah, like those chair placements were my first taste of auditions and stuff. How competitive it can be. Then let's talk about one of my college audition for a scholarship. I'm still waiting on doing a couple more. Like they always make us do Northwest Community College. They always make us do that whenever they show up. I'll have the opportunity to do a scholarship audition for Ole Miss, and I've already done my audition for the W, and I already got my amount for that. And I'm thinking with the GI money I'm supposed to get, it shouldn't be. That's most of it. It's either gonna go to room and board or something else, or a refund check. I don't know. But anyhow, for my most recent college audition, you were supposed to pick out 2 pieces. I think you could have done a third. I think it was optional. I don't remember. But I went with Elegy for Mippy 2 by Leonard Bernstein, and then Concerto for Trombone and Piano by I forgot who. But it's the one that everybody knows. It's supposed to be standard rep. And so I wasn't very concerned about making it necessarily like the best. I had done so many auditions and have been in much more stressful situations than playing in front of the whole faculty of a college. That didn't bother me one bit. I wasn't necessarily nervous. That's just something I've done so much. I've been conditioned to kind of just be ready for it. And that's my advice to anybody. Just do it more. And you just get conditioned to that stress that comes with auditioning. Not to say that you won't ever be nervous ever, but it will be much, much more manageable just doing it more. Okay. And that was the situation here. I mean, I wasn't really nervous I was more excited than nervous. And so it was a 2-hour drive. It was on a Monday evening at 5 o'clock, and I get down there, and I'm greeted by one of the faculty members at the door, and they're like, "Oh, so you must be auditioning." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And they got the department head out there, and they let me warm up before anybody else got into the auditorium. And I was greeted by my composition teacher, and he was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be very laid back. You're gonna talk, you're gonna play for us a little bit, and then we're gonna talk." And that's what we did. And so the first one I decided to play was the concerto, and that one went very well. I felt like I could have done that in front of somebody else and be proud about it. And then I did Elegy for Mippy 2. Now that one's questionable. Those high A flats were not A flattened at all. One of them came out, and then everything after that, I skipped like a whole 2 measures, I think. But recovery is what matters, and I finished it out. And Elegy for Maybe 2, if I could spend more time on it, that would be my favorite. I'd be playing that all the time, because it was my favorite piece to play and listen to. And it was like the very next day I got my conditionally accepted into the music department, because I think most colleges do it this way, where if you're wanting to major in music, you have to get accepted into that department as well as the college. I'd already been accepted into college. I just had to do this audition, get accepted into the department. Excuse me, because it's just formality. I'm already a part of the wind ensemble down there, and a lot of, like, I know the band director pretty well. I know the composition person very well. So I mean, they knew me. They knew who I was. This was just a formality kind of thing. And I mean, I enjoyed, because I mean, I get to do my little performance or whatever. And it was fun. I like showing off. And like I said, auditions at this point, unless there's a lot of money on the line, I'm not nervous. Which college auditions and money, I'm not worried about so much. But at the end of the day, I feel like it's important that when we see an opportunity, that we take it. Maybe there's a group out there that you're looking to audition for and you're just not sure. Just do it. If there's an opportunity, you're supposed to just take it, Now, obviously, don't let nobody screw you over. That's another story, but always take an opportunity by the hand and just do it. Just do it. Like my homeboy Nike said. But anyway, that was just me talking about my audition experiences thus far, and things I've felt, things that come along with those auditions, etc., etc. And I hope maybe you took something away from this. I would love to hear what your thoughts are. You know, if you're on YouTube, on the YouTubes, you can comment and tell me I'm wrong. Please do, so I can hang it up on my wall. And just let me know what you think. If you have a audition story, I'd like to hear it. You know. But anyway, that's it. I appreciate you if you made it this far. I hope that maybe one of these days my speaking will get better and better and better, which I feel like it is. Compared to my first one, it was a whole lot better. Anyway, goodbye. I'll see you later. There's a plane in the background. Alright, bye. I don't know how to stop this.